moments. The sun was again on the side in this particular case. So you can see on the left side, you can see the light, and towards the right, there is no much light. And he, in fact, there were occasions where we feel like it was just for us. There were no much vehicles. In usual cases, there will be a bunch of vehicles, but there was no much rush. There was no many people, and this guy was so cool, calm, and give us some great moments. Being in the wild, and when you spot something, your positioning is definitely important, and you being calm, and you should be able to think, in the excitement. Especially when I started my journey as a photographer, controlling the excitement was the toughest task I think I felt. So that's one key thing which everybody should, you should be able to control, understanding the behavior, as well as when you are in the field, when you are seeing things. If you happen to see a lot of works, that will definitely give you an idea what you can do when you see something similar. This is one thing. I mean, it was again slightly more brighter day, and it was a dry season too. So that's the beauty of Masai Mara. You get to see something even through this grass that go when the grass is dry, those are brown in color. When the sun rays fall into that with the dewdrops, you feel like there are diamonds in every grass blades, and it's all glittering gold throughout the field. And this guy walking across that field, it's like, what do I say? I mean, it gives me so much immense pleasure to watch them, their elegance, and that royal, real king feel when you see this. Technically, as I mentioned, I always underexpose it. I try to focus on the edges and play with Kelvin. That is the key of any of these shots. And this is, one second. This is Scarface, one of the most famous and the oldest lions in the Mara. He lost his eyesight in one of the territory fight, and even in this particular occasion, he had a fight and he was badly injured. But the good part is the females in his pride was taking care of him, and they were hunting and they were feeding him for almost a month plus, or month and a half plus. And we spotted him only for a day or two with this beautiful lighting in this particular occasion. And you can see he is kind of quite weak at that point of time, and we really didn't expect him to survive, but thankfully he survived, and he's still doing good. We spotted him lately, but then um, again he was injured. Right now, what I heard from our circle in Masai Mara is that he's still healthy and going good. And what I like over here is the head, and that mane looks like a heart in on top of his head. So that was my favorite view in, I mean, favorite element in that photograph. And here he was again walking forward. The light was slightly different. It was getting brighter. So that's the difference what you see over here and here. So I start to play with a slightly increased, I mean, if this was 5 stop down, this was 3 stop down. So that's the difference what you see here. And it was a continuation shot from the previous session. This is the female. This is one of the female from the same pride. And what you see on top of the nose, it's like a magic bulb on top of her nose. The funny part was she pulled out a carcass from a water body around, and it is some kind of intestine or something burst on top of her. During this process, something got into her nose, and it was only there for a few seconds. That's where we say, you keep your eyes glued into the viewfinder and keep a note on what is happening around. This may not last for more than few seconds, but if you keep your eyes and you understand the light, there is always a possibility for making some moments. It may not, when you think back and check what you have done, there will be things like magic, a touch of magic in certain frames. Now this is what do I say? This is a proper African frame. You have the sun in the horizon and the king in the frame with the correct composition, and you have the rising balloons in the horizon. So we were looking for something as usual early morning, and we saw a couple of vehicles rushing to one side, and we spotted this guy. I wish our positioning was slightly more towards down so we could get slightly the sun, or if we spotted this and everything happened slightly before, then the sun could have been a bit more, not this whitish, could have been slightly more yellowish tint. Now the second, a few seconds later, this fellow bent his head and picked up a wildebeest carcass. So that was even more interesting. So a lion with a kill right in front of the rising sun and balloons in the sky. So certain days are completely magical in the wild. So I always feel that you really need to have a connection to most of the frames. We kind of dream, and then eventually that happen in our life. There is always a connection which happens from the bottom of your heart to the image. So that's the magic of nature, and or magic between you and nature. This kind of remind me, when I saw this in front of my eyes, I kind of remind me of Apple's logo, the Apple brand logo. And this particular guy, there was a cheetah in that area, so we were thinking that there is a possibility for a hunt or a run. I know these guys are quite fast, so it's not that easy task, even though these are cheetah's main or favorite food. But then this particular one is another example. You can see the neck and the bottom, the light, but when you have a lighter sky in the background, getting the rim can be quite tricky. So it's always good if you have a darker, I mean, it's a must that you have a darker background, and the source of the light should be right behind the subject. And this is an eland, and they are the second biggest antelopes, slightly smaller than the greater antelope. This look like it's dancing in the golden light, but if you really understand the behind the story behind this particular image, this poor mother was just trying to save her, and the offspring, the younger one, for a second. This was right after a kill. I'm not sure if you have heard about the 5 cheetahs from the Masai Mara. The coalition right now formed, I think, formed in a couple of years ago. Now, kind of ruling Mara. They cheetah hunting eland or zebras was not that common before this coalition happened. Right now, these guys just go for anything and everything. They have no such strategy. They just walk across and hunt them. So this was right after her offspring got caught by this 5 cheetahs. So even though this looked beautiful, this was the behind the scene. Then young antelope just getting caught by the cheetah, and the mother was just trying to save her, but that didn't happen. Now, once again, back to our rim light. This was a beautiful ostrich male. So the main difference between the male and female, to identify, the male will have a black body and the female will have a slightly more brownish one. And they look extremely beautiful. The male specifically, their body will turn to pink when it is their mating time. And again with the sun, so you can see I have increased the Kelvin value to get that reddish tint slightly more. I know the horizon is slightly tilted, but then there was hardly any room for me to adjust in this particular occasion. It's a cheetah, and there were four more cubs. There were four cubs and a mother in this particular scene, and they were kind of playing hide and seek. We were standing in front of two giraffes, and they were fighting. And when we saw this this cheetah glimpse from a distance of that outline, there was no second thought in our head. We were just moved to that particular location. It was like a hide and seek scene. And what I was trying to do was getting the grass blades, and then just only the rim, and get it sharp, and it looks like a painting. But then that was my intention too. And early mornings when you were spotting a cheetah, or any particular subject in that matter, it's always fun, and you get room to play around with your settings. Here, this one was with along with a cub, and she is known as Amani. She's an amazing hunter, but the problem is when it comes to taking care of her cubs. In last 3 or 4 seasons, she got once four cubs, once two cubs, once three cubs, and last time one cub. And she in last 4 seasons she couldn't manage even a single cub. But as a hunter, she's extremely a successful one. Here again, it was an early morning shot. You can see I was playing with the light. The focus line is clear, and I have used a wider aperture over here to get the foreground blur. Now this is one of my favorite, if you ask me, in uh, uh, among my, what do you call, rim light photo. It's from the same sequence. This was her cub. The the plus point of spending time with cubs and spending time with any cat, or any cat and cubs, so they are so much full of life. You give them time, they will come so close to you. At some point, you will not even be able to do a photography. You can just keep your camera down and sit and watch. This was one of such occasion when sporting them was quite difficult because of the tall grass. And that is the main trick, or that is the beauty of nature. When the moment the mother go for hunt, the babies just hide inside the bush, and they don't come out until unless the mother is back with the food and give an alarm call. So this time when we spotted her, the mother was with her, and so she was very happy, she was joyful, and we were the only vehicle over there, so she was very comfortable too. So she was to in the beginning she kept a distance, but after some time she came so close. It was like we have the open vehicles, and we remove the door as well as the seats inside, so we can lie down inside the vehicle and keep our lenses down and get this eye level photography. This particular one was so curious. He was almost getting into our vehicle, or coming so close to our vehicle and peeping into the lens hood and trying to see what we were doing. So we got some amazing moments. Those kind of moments we couldn't photograph much, but then that experience was extremely beautiful. Here again, I have technically, if you're asking me, I have underexposed it to 5 stops and increased the Kelvin. And this is slightly later. You can see the shadow of the mother in the background, and you can see how curious she is, and she was trying to play with us. If again, I work closely with an icon for a lot of things, and so this particular trip I was supposed to test Nikon's C6, the mirrorless camera, but when it was time for the trip, what I got instead of C6, I got only C7. So I was slightly disappointed because I heard a lot of negative review about C7 before I was going to this trip. So I didn't even touch my gear for first 2 days, and third day when we spotted a lion and the lion was lazy and was not doing anything. So that's the time when I thought, okay, fine, it's the time. Maybe I can see how it works. And I used it. And after that, till that end of that trip, I was using more of C7. I'm not trying to be an advocate for it, but then I'm really happy with the way the camera is performing. They definitely need to work on the battery, but then the clarity and the megapixels, it gives you an option even to crop to 50% and you still get an awesome image. And most of the cases, I try not to do much of cropping. And whenever I'm shooting something, I try to shoot in 4 different ways if there is time, if the subject is not moving around much. So I go portrait, go closer, get portraits, then go landscape, because habitat destruction is the major issues what the whole world is facing. If we were supposed to lose 100 species a year, right now what we are losing is 27,000 species, which include microbes or plants and insects, everything together, 27,000 plus species a year, just because of habitat loss. So showing habitat of each species play a major role in your photography, so that people understand the importance of protecting this nature, at least whatever is remaining. So on that note, I was really happy with C7. Now, when you are seeing, there are few plus points of sporting any cat with young ones. One, the cups will be always fun, and you keep your eyes stuck into your or glued to your viewfinder. You will be able to see some amazing sequence. And the second thing, there is a good possibility you may be able to see some hunting sequence too, because when they have young ones, it's a must that once in 2 days time they definitely need to hunt. You just need to follow, but you need to make sure you're not troubling them. So here it's again a continuation of the same sequence, and the cub is trying to sit on top of the mother's head and trying to look at us. So she was so curious and so full of love and fun. And now, here you can see slight difference in the lighting and the colors. It's mainly because I was playing with my Kelvin. But then this is one of my favorite. It's like, sometimes you feel you are actually watching some human kid playing with the mother, trying to do hide and seek, and it's one of my, what do I say, one of my blessed moments from the wild. It's from the same sequence again. There is no other way to say I love you, mama, right? There is always that positive energy. There is always that connection in each frame or each moment. It's all about keep, keeping your mind clear, and see how you want to show the world how fragile this particular world is, how important it is to protect them. 100 years ago, we got more than 200,000 plus cheetahs in the wild, and right now what we have is only 6,000 plus. So that is the reduction in the numbers. If we don't do something to protect these animals right now, they will only remain in pictures for the next generation. And when we lose one species from this chain, it is not only going to affect that particular species, it's going to affect the whole world. That is something which we need to understand. We need to work for it. Now, this is again from an old collection of mine, and you can see there is most of the images were with Nikon gear, and this is from a Canon gear. So there is a slight difference in the colors. I'm very specific about Nikon, Canon. That's one. I'm not into a conflict. I'm not saying this is better, that's better. Nikon or Canon. It's there. What I see myself as an artist is there is a difference in the colors for sure, and a low light performance. That's another key thing. Forget all. If we are going to forget all these things, what I like over here is the way the nature have prove nature's designing ability, how difficult it is to sport something, a tiny cub in the grass that helps them to survive over there. And the plus point is, if you have a good gear and if you know how to focus through the grass, you will be able to focus. That's a bit critical thing, but then it is not impossible. And it looks like another bush in the center of the grass plain. Back to the lion. This guy, we spotted him. We followed him for a while in that on that particular day. He walked. He kind of did a proper catwalk for us for a long time. He just walked in front of us towards our side. What I like in this particular picture is, like, you can see the hot air coming through his mouth, and the proper outline, and the layers in the background, the mountains as well as the grass plain and the bushes. So you can see 4 to 5 different layers of colors in the background. So that's the reason for me to select this one for this presentation. Now, this is I have divided the presentation into 2 different sections. One is focusing completely on a rim light, and this particular one, she is known as Saba. Getting a leopard is definitely, as I said, there are trips where we got an n number of leopards, but then it's one of the most elusive cats when it comes to Masai Mara or African terrain to sport. But then in this particular occasion, I was talking to my guide. His name is Johnny. So I was telling Johnny, we have seen cheetahs I got images of cheetahs with rim light. I've got images for a couple of other species, lions, and when it comes to cats. But then I've never seen a leopard in the backlight. You know, I start a conversation like, imagine, Johnny, if we get to see something. So then Johnny kind of feel that, yeah, you said imagine, there is a good possibility now that is going to happen. And exactly, we were talking about that in this particular day, in that afternoon session, and we spotted her. Her name is Saba. There are 3 4 leopards in Masai Mara, females, and they are kind of quite bold. Bahati, Saba, these are a couple of them, and Luluka, she is my favorite. So these 3 are, when it comes to, if you're lucky enough to spot them, you will be able to make some wonderful images. So she kind of walked in front of us for a couple of, I think, once or twice, and this is a full frame image. And most of the images what you have seen is full frame images. And we were so lucky to see her trying for 2 hunting attempts, but then failed, unfortunately. And she made a kill on that night, but not in front of us. What I like in this picture is the grass and the flowers at, exactly in the bottom and around her face. So this is one of my favorite, and this was the finalist again in this year's WPY from the what's the Wildlife Photographer of the Year competition this year. Unfortunately, this is I think it's not the 5th time, it's the 8th time I'm getting into this shortlist. I don't know when I'm going to get into the, at least, if not the winner, at least getting a recognition over there. It's a dream. I'm not much of a competition person. So the only 2 competitions I have ever participated in, no, 3 in my life, is once National Geography. Last 8 years I'm participating in WPY, and in last 8 years I'm into the second round, or they call finalist, but never managed to get beyond that. So pray for me to get into that at least once in my lifetime. And then twice I was in the finals of HIPAA. So with this, I'm kind of concluding the what do you call them? Concluding the rim light part of my presentation. Then I'm just going to present some of my favorites from the field. I love to shoot when it is raining, and this is again Amani, the one with the cub. So she was we spotted her along with her two cubs, and she was trying to run through the rain, and she was chased by a hyena in the beginning. Then later on, she was chased by a lion, a pride of lions. Just because there were a lot of vehicles, she managed to survive herself and two cubs. But then, unfortunately, she lost the cubs as well as even the last two cubs. So when it is raining, what I try to do is I try to reduce the shutter speed so that I get the raindrops like drops, like lines, then completely soft. So this is my approach, and this is one of my close to heart image. This is right after the rain. There was one more cub. He's slightly behind, and they were coming towards us. I mean, we were in front of them, so God managed to get this shot. So the cub exactly on air. Again, it's a Malaika's cub. It's an old picture. You can see how cute they are, and you can see how merged it's with the nature. Now it's again the same time. It's Malaika's cub. When you are, this is a late evening shot. When you're using a high-end camera, that's a plus point. You just can pump up the ISO and you spend time with the young ones. I love to spend my time when I'm in the field with young cubs, and that gives me a bit of pleasure and happiness, I must say. This is one of my favorite, it was a dream to see a cheetah hunt. I think I've seen around 5 to 6 or 7 times cheetahs hunting. But then, getting caught is a different thing. Right after that, it's a lot of blood, and that is life in the wild. But then, getting them in action, getting them along with the prey, that moment was always a dream. And here you get the legs crossed with the wildebeest, with the target, and with the full habitat. So it's definitely, I mean, it was in my dream list, a shot like this after I see my friend's Hermes images. He got something similar a couple of years ago. From that time, it was in my head, and I was lucky last year. And see, it's about perspective. If you can see the elephant over here, it's a ground level shot, and you can see the black dots in the background. Those are also elephants. So where you place your camera, how you shoot, what is your technique, how to what extent you can go. That's something which you are creating. So first, I think every image what you create, you see it in your head first. This is again from Mara, and this guy, we kept the camera down, and he was coming and trying to sniff it around. So until unless you don't provoke them, they are very quiet. But because I was not using a D850, it still have a. I think I was using a D5, and it was giving a bit
And
of
so now, yes, yes, see.
uh, a bit of sound issue. So that is the reason he was trying to come closer and take a look. This is one of very rare, very, very, very rare occasion. I think this is the first time ever in Masai Mara they have spotted a white elephant calf. So that was a very special moment. This is a midday shot, and we spotted them for cup. I'm not sure whether it is still surviving, or because the heat in Mara is quite tough, and they being white, it can affect them more. It's a it is the melanin issue that is the reason for this color change. I'm really hoping the elephant survived. This is from last year, and I was supposed to go to Mara, but then the trips got cancelled, and hoping things will be back to normal, and I will be able to go again in November, November. We have a workshop there, so I'm really hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, and hoping to see this beauty in the wild. So these are moments which are very, very special because of the rarity of the species. And again, it's not only the cubs or the cats. It is about any species when it is young ones, when they are always full of energy, curiosity. All you need to do is just be there, keep your eyes open, just be focused and click the right moment. Here, what I love is the heart shaped and its energy and the way it is looking straight into your eyes. And getting a catch light in an elephant is not that easy. So this was a blessed morning, I must say. And this is another one. I mean, sometimes you feel like they are kind of posing for you. This is a late evening shot, and it was a bigger pride. It was with 16 or 17 lions and around 4 or 5 females and cubs in all from 3 months to uh, 12 months or 10 months old cubs were there. In those kind of situations, you will be really confused. You didn't know which one to focus. And thankfully, I was kind of lucky, I must say. I was focusing on this particular one, and for a fraction of a second, or a second or 2 seconds, it kept his hand like this, then like this, and then like this, and took it. So three shots in one row in the seconds difference. In nature, I it's all about you being there in the right time, right spot, and doing the right thing. So definitely you need to understand the behavior, you need to understand your gear, but more than anything, I feel you need to be blessed. You need to have that connection with nature. Uh, that is what brings the best out of nature. That is the only thing which can brings the best out of nature. So love what you do, love nature, don't trouble the habitat or any species in that matter. Your ethics is extremely important while doing wildlife photography. So please, whenever you are going somewhere, you need to make sure you are not trying to trouble anything. If you are patient, if you are ready to wait, you will be able to get some amazing sequences in the wild. This is from one of my very first trips to Tanzania, and this is from Gorongoro. What I like in this particular one, this was our first sighting from Gorongoro. We gone down to the crater and we spotted this handsome guy, and he was lying down at that point of time. Then, as I mentioned, when they are in a mood to get up, then they will be yawning. In usual cases, 3 to 4 yawns, then they get up, then they stretch their back, and then they walk, and in between they roar for a couple of times to mark the presence. What I like over here, definitely him as a handsome guy, and the tree in the background, and the layers of colors in the background. So that's kind of Gorongoro is known for that greenish, beautiful backdrops at any point of time. It's that color change is not much there, and I think that's about this particular shot. Yeah, when you understand the behavior of a species, definitely this is how the mating is going to be. The good part is they lions mate around 40 times a day, and during the especially during the peak time. And after the mating session, they kind of the female kind of attack the male. So you understand that, then this is the next action, and if you position yourself. So we got a small slopy area in the bottom, right below this, so we managed to position ourselves. It was a cloudy day, and the lions were full swing on, and this is what I got. And this is again one of WPY's finalist, I think 2 years ago. And here, that if that was a close shot, here what you see is a pride of lion on top of the rocks, and you can see the beautiful green valley right behind it. Then you see the mountains right behind it, and then a cloudy sky. So there is different options. You can go closer, show their character, show their behavior. Go backwards, use a wider lens to show the habitat, show the behavior once again. The choice is yours, but I always suggest to make all the possible options so that the people will be able to see the beauty as well as the connection between nature and the requirement to protect Mother Nature. This is an option. You can go closer. When you go closer, try to create a story between the frames. So this young one was so curious. He wanted to check us, and he was trying to hide behind. But now the way you frame is completely your choice. As I mentioned, I'm not much of a hunting fan, though it's all about their survival. But then the moment the 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 claws or the teeth are on their neck, then I try not to shoot much, or I keep quiet. Very rarely I shoot after that. But then this is the moment you don't know whether this is going to be a kill, whether this is the the wildebeest is going to survive. There is a lot of question beyond the frame, and I don't know whether to call it as a sad or good. The sad part for the wildebeest, yeah, it got killed. The good part for the lion, because the lioness were a part of a pride of again another 13-member pride. So she managed to make the kill. Good for the cubs, good for the rest of the lions. And this is one of my favorites. This is again in 2017. This was one of the finalists in WPY. Uh, this particular time, I made this trip just for doing one thing. I mean, I it's still a dream for me. Lion shaking its head after a rain and taking that water splashing in the circular movement. So in 2016, my guide, when he called me and said the rain is pretty good there, if you come over here, there's a good possibility you will be able to see your dream shot. In fact, I was really a bit short in cash, and I somehow managed some cash and went to Mara. I reached Mara, rain stopped. Day one, no rain. Two, no rain. Three, no rain. On fourth day, afternoon, the clouds kind of started forming, and this guy is known as Notch 2, and it's if you know about Notch Pride, or you can Google the Notch Pride, you will be able to see all the details about them. So we spotted all three of them. There were six of them together. Right now, only one alive, and I call him as my boyfriend. I like him that much. He's such a handsome guy. So we spot him, and we saw him resting in one place. And right before this, there was a shot. I'm not sure if I have put it across. We spotted a rainbow. We spotted a rainbow, and I had a feel that we spotted this line right in that area. So I managed to go there. And I'm sorry if I didn't put the rainbow shot over here. I can share it later. So we managed to get the lion with the rainbow standing right in front of it. Again, that was another shortlist in WPY. And this guy, then he started to walk in front of us, and to an extent I was absolutely not even able to take a shot even with a 70-200 or wide angle. He came, stood right in front of me. Then he took a round around my vehicle. He went to the rear view side. He marked his territory. I mean, he urinated on our back wheel. Then he went and sat in front of us. But this shot, you can see the raindrops. The sunset was facing him, so there is a golden glow around that face, and personally, this is one of my favorite moments. And it's not all about cats. So anything can happen in the wild. Any species can be picturized beautifully. So it's all about playing with light and how you frame it. So this is a topi with his young one. This was another rare sighting. When we spotted this one, we were totally confused. A zebra, a black zebra with white spots, which is absolutely, I haven't even heard about this before. So we were like thinking whether it is crossbreed or what the hell is this. But then we got to know that it is a melanin disorder again. And the first person to spot this was a guide called Tira, and he is known with his name after this. I am not sure whether this zebra is still surviving. We know in last season they moved to Tanzania, and now it's again back to migration season. And I'm hoping by August 1st, Masai Mara or Kenya is going to be open for wildlife. And I'm hoping all over the world with this current COVID condition, we will be able to find some solution and life will get back to normal and we will be able to see this beauty if he or she is still surviving. It's a dream, but then this was a very special moment. And seeing a giraffe again, that background and that fragile connection between the mother and the young one is always special. You have options. You can go closer, you go wider, right? You see the lion portrait, then you feel that the portraits are good. You show something from a bit of distance, you may feel this is better. So the choice is yours. I think you should do everything and show the beauty of nature. Then only people will be able to understand how beautiful this mother nature is and how much we definitely need to protect this nature. And this is a very special moment for me. This is uh, uh, this particular young one. You can see its umbilical cord. It was the first time ever we spotted this one right after it's giving birth, and we have seen it taking its first step on this planet Earth. And the way the mother was supporting the young one to get up and stand. I have a video of that one. I'm sorry, I haven't added over here, but then it was such a heart touching or such a moment for me. uh, you know that vulnerability of a species. If a lion, even if a hyena came into the scene, that can be a trouble for this young one. So that was, I was praying that nothing will happen to this particular one. So you see the connection, that small tiny of the bird on top, their connection begins from there. And that kiss of love on the top of the head, and how you frame it. I was using 180 400 of Nikon with the D5 over here. The plus point of that particular gear, I mean, what I own is a 400 but then I would love to shift that to a 180 400 because of that zooming facility without losing the quality. It got f4. It gives you the clarity of a prime lens with an ability to zoom with the converter. So at time, if you want to go closer, that give you 1.4x inbuilt converter on a switch. So this was one moment which is extremely close to my heart, and I hope you like it too. uh, Seeing this guy, it looked like a black rock, but then a hippo during a sunset with a beautiful background. I kind of feel it's very special. I'm not sure, you know, how many of you like it, but then for me, it's a special moment. This was an extremely tough one. I have been to Masai Mara for 27 times so far. I have spotted this cat maybe 10 times, 15 times in during my trips, but I have seen them hunting only twice. But during this particular time, when we spotted her, the whole intention was to follow her because we heard that she got a kitten. I've never seen a kitten, even now, I haven't seen a kitten of several cats. So we followed her for almost 2 3 hours, and she was so cool. She was hardly bothered we were even in that area. She was kind of going around, and the behavior was like when she spots something, she'll take her steps like one after one, and then she stops, then she stretch her neck, and then she turn her left and right like this. And then even the way she breathes, you can really feel how careful she is, and then just pounce on top of the one and then eat. So I think we have seen her jumping to us left, jumping to us right, jumping straight in front of us. It was an action-packed day, and we got some amazing moments. This is again a WPY finalist. It was a very, very, very close to moment. And see, nature is the best artist. There is no way we can paint something more beautiful than this. It was a awesome morning with the ostrich in the horizon and a sky which looked exactly like an exaggerated or artificial sky, but it is real. I haven't done anything in this. So when you are there, when you are in set situations like this, try to get the maximum out of nature rather than going for a closer shot. That's my call when it comes to photography and art. Everybody have their own calls. I'm not saying what I'm saying is right, but this is my approach. The we say we have a lot to learn from birds. This is one bird which I really like, and it's a great hornbill known for its partnership, one man, one woman relationship. It was there is a cavity between this branch, and there is a female inside that. So this one, it's a male feeding the female, and I call this image as a token of love. So throughout this time, the mother will be inside, and the father will be feeding the mother, and till they come out of the cave. So they kind of nest themselves and cover themselves, and then the father brings in food. And by any chance, if the father turn out to be a cheat, most of the time the mother just die inside. So that is how beautiful nature is, and that is how much we have to, that shows the commitment. The love is really real in the wild. It's not like pretending and covering up like humans. So I really wish there is a lot we can learn from these birds and animals. It's again a behavior. It's just trying to, if you see closely, you can see the fish in the beak. So pointing, and you have, if you spot something, then you're framing, you are understanding the behavior, help you a lot in creating the frame. So there are situations where you can create a story. I was in a coffee shop in Trivandrum city in Kerala. So we spotted this owlet in this cavity. So I went back to my place, got my lens, and then I stayed there for almost 3 to 4 hours and shooting it. So this happened when the Ravan arrived, it was there trying to see where the sound is coming from, and he spotted this one. There was a one moment interaction. That's it. So you see the fear, you see the curiosity in the crow. This was again a finalist in WPY. This is the first time I have ever seen an owlet in my real life. So a friend of mine informed me. I was in Dubai. He informed me that if you come to Chennai, there is a possibility they have a couple of outlets in their areas I can shoot. So there was no other second thought in my head. I packed my bags and went there and spent around 2 days and came back with 1,000+ shots and some interaction. There were 3, 4 outlets, so managed to get some lovely moments. And this is one of my favorite among that. This was my first entry to Nat Geo. So before this, I got introduced, social media through social media, photographer called Stefano Ronchi. He's an Italian photographer. He don't speak English. I don't speak Italian. So I think both of us were using Google to share our ideas. So I used to see a close emotional moments in his pictures. So I asked him how he created. Then he said, you can actually communicate with any species in this planet. You need to, that communication should come from the bottom of your mind. So you ask a bird or a species. So I started to practice that, and my friends call me completely lunatic. But when I see the result, I start to see things happening in front of me. You can call that can be a complete coincidence. It can be behavior, but I feel that is a connection between nature. When we were taking this particular shot, other than me, there were 3 more friends in the vehicle. I was literally asking the bird to do something magical, and this was audible for other friends in the group too. So, and then uh, I was so sure that this bird is going to do something, and this is what happened. And I clicked it, and this was the first selection from my side to from my collection to National Geography. It's a very special shot for me. Any species is good. What I like over here is the reflection and the chocolatish feel. So when you see any species, whatever it is, just give maximum attention to create a frame. It's again a moment when you are focusing on a species, when you get an eye contact with the bird coming towards you. It's mm, a blue-cheeked bee eater. It was a great moment once again. Backlight, playing with backlight, it is whether it is bird or a mammal, it's always fun. You see cormorants, there is always room for experiments, and following them will definitely give you moments. One species which you can spot a lot in the African terrain as well as in UAE. This is from Dubai. So all you need to do is just focus them, just be with them, give them that comfort zone, so that they kind of accept you in their surroundings. Then the room is all yours. I think I'm going beyond the time. So what yeah, okay, I think I'll just talk about this one, because this is one particular there's a photographer called Sudhir Shivaram. I used to visit his website just to see a shot of this one. This is a sport bill pelican. He got a great white pelican, exactly the same shot, same action. It's the behavior pattern. But then when I saw that particular shot, it was always in my head to see something similar. The nature's magic happened again. I was in Vedantankal, another bird sanctuary in India, and got to see this particular moment and managed to capture it. So a habitat shot, a simple species. This is during summer. Then it was a fight between a male and female for a water drop. It's a sparrow. Again, a love sequence between a white-tailed lapwing. This guy tried his best to convince the female, but she got a pretty big attitude. I was in love with the guy, but then the girl was absolutely not impressed, even after he gave all tips and tricks and funny moments for almost half an hour. So this is one moment from that particular time. You can focus even on your backyard. This is two different species fighting for a bit of papaya. So that's what happens when you have fruit bearing trees in your backyard, and then you keep some for the birds. Then you will be able to see some interactions even in your backyard. This is one shot which gave me a break in my career in the beginning. So it is still a dream for me to see a kite getting hold of a prey and getting up with that. So here I was expecting it to get hold of a what do you call, get hold of a fish or a duck, but what it got hold was a snake. For a fraction of a second I got panicked. I lose the shot when it was holding it, but thankfully I got it when it was dropping it. It was a juvenile Brahmini kite. You can see a cut mark in the bottom of the snake. So the snake's head up and the kite looking down. It was I must say it was not that prepared shot, but then this was my first ever entry to WPY in the year 2012 or 13. I think this one is from this year. I mean, not this year, last year, September. And this particular one get hold of a Vado baby. And it was pretty bright day, so it pulled out the baby next to our vehicle. And I was using a 7200 to capture it, because this one finds kind of quite comfortable in our presence, pulled out next to our vehicle and was trying to eat it. You can see even the details of the eye, which look like it's a screenshot from some scary movie, but it's a layer which protects their eyes. Um, so I think I'm just this is I'm just going to skip through. I'm running. I'm taking too much of time. I don't want to make you feel bored. So it's a leopard collection from my collection. So this is again a rare moment, an interaction between a hyena and a leopard. Usually they kind of run away, but then this was a very bold female, and she gave a tough time to the hyena, and she managed to take that piece and got back to the thing. Uh, a moment from this, and seeing a leopard again is tough. Then a mating pair is even more difficult. So I was really a lucky one to spot a leopard, a mating pair, and followed it for a good amount of time and get some emotional moments. This is Sabah from that particular rim light day. She was facing us and walking towards us. I'm going to close it up with some of the wide angle shots. So what we do is we spend 2 to 3 days with one particular pride. So we build a familiarity between the pride, so that when the light is high, they kind of come closer to our vehicle. And that time we attach a camera to a monopod, keep it upside down, use the camera using our mobile, and control it and take it. So this one was very curious and came towards us. Same method, again a WPA finalist, and I think what I like is the color combination from left to right and the proud female. I'm ending up with this. It's a cub resting on top of the tree, and sometimes it's, you don't need to show everything or the full body to show the story. There is a paw and there is a tail, and it's all about wild tales. So that's my presentation. I'm sorry if I took long time, and I'm really thankful for this great opportunity. So I'm just going to stop screen share.